What I'm going to talk about today is, how does it work? Oh yes, here we go. What I'm talking about today is artificial intelligence and how to deploy artificial intelligence. This is unfair, right? This is only 7 minutes left. Artificial intelligence to optimize business processes. Now, what on earth is a business process? Well, this is a very simple example, a transport process. And normally, people optimizing business processes, what they do is they look at a typical process and how this should be organized. For example, like how it could be digitized by, for example, in this example, taking radio data into consideration. What they're lacking, or what this thought is lacking, is that it's not just about process design, but also process dynamics. Process dynamics is the second dimension of process optimization, and it deals with the fact that we've got not just a single, in this case, transport job that follows this process, but a multitude of transport jobs. So more generally, if we talk about process design, we look at a typical activity, a job, an order, or a task, and how this should be effectuated. But if we have many actual activities, like thousands of tasks per day, then it becomes important, how do we sequence those tasks? How do we, for example, consolidate those tasks into batches? How do we allocate resources? How do we do the scheduling and allow for the time dynamics of those operations? And how do we place or size buffers and so forth? And looking at the process dynamics, many people think that's quite simple. If I have thousands of orders to be put into a sequence, I use a prioritizing rule. A priority rule which says, okay, I do the most important things first. Now let's look at a very simple example where we've got 3 production orders, A, B, and C. It's a very, very simple but very illustrative example. If I do this by priority, what I would do is I would take production order A and B, and then on the second day I would start with order C, and then they would flow through the production line in this particular manner. And that would, if each of those orders has a due date of 3 days from now, a deadline, this would produce a total delay of 3 days. Another option would be I do something entirely out of whack. I start with a lower priority. So I start with order A, but then I take order C, and then the higher priority order number B. This is counterintuitive, but if I do it and I look at the flow through my workshop, what happens is I just have a single day of delay across all 3 orders, which is significantly better. It's not just a little bit better, but it's significantly better than the first option. So what we learn here is it really matters. However, unfortunately, process dynamics, this is quite complex. The reason being that in the example I used, you see that the winning sequence ACB is just one of 6 possible sequences because I had only 3 objects to look at, 3 orders. But in reality, if we have multiple orders, we have n fractional permutations to schedule those orders across a working environment. And for a human planner, which is also beleaguered by offsetting multidimensional goal functions, like he wants to reduce cost, but at the same time he wants to meet all the deadlines, so it's a time dimension. He might have additional dimensions as well, and then of course thousands of constraints to look at. It's quite complex. And this is exactly where AI can play a very large role. Operations research and AI play a very, very large role and used to do so in the past for a long time. And when we talk about AI for business operations or for process optimization, what we really look at is two types of the AI. The one which is currently hyped very much is like ChatGPT, is data-driven AI. That's machine learning, that's basically AI which relies on data, on examining data, and then applying neural networks and certain other technologies in order to come up with good solutions for stated problems. But in addition to that, there is what we call know-how-driven AI, and this is traditional operations research, mathematical optimization, fuzzy logic, where you can state problems in a different manner. And while data-driven AI has certain benefits like pattern recognition, you can hidden patterns, you can recognize with those algorithms, they would reveal hidden patterns. There is also quite a lot of benefits for, and then of course the learning capability, but then of course to encompass expert know-how that you might already have with your people who are doing, for example, production scheduling every day as their daily work, you might include that with know-how-based AI much better than you do by just letting an algorithm, a learning algorithm, work with the data. And of course, process AI is a hybrid between those two things. We use at Inform, we use both things in parallel in order to come up with optimization algorithms for business processes like manufacturing, scheduling. I'm coming to the applications in a minute. And the very important word here is application-specific. You can't use a generalized AI here. You need application-specific AIs for procurement, for optimizing distribution networks, for transportation, or whatever. Inform, just as a company, we have grown pretty fast over the last 10 years. We are now more than 1,000 people, much more than 1,000 clients in 40 countries around the world. And we're located in Aachen, Germany. Just a couple of, finishing my talk, couple of examples. For example, this is a medium-sized, many of our companies, our clients we work with are SMEs. For this one, for example, we reached these results. For this one, we cut the standard delivery cycle by half by applying an AI technology against their human planners that they used previously in manufacturing scheduling. Optimizing batches, if you have an industry oven, we increased dramatically the utilization of this particular batching process. Aircraft maintenance, many big airlines are using our technology to improve on their reliability of their aircraft maintenance. Optimizing inventories, you got a direct return on investment. You buy a system which is maybe something like, you invest maybe something like 200,000 euros and you get immediately 2.5 million back from reducing your inventory while even increasing your availability of materials. Supply chain, transportation, workforce management, this is all other applications of AI using AI in order to optimize business processes. And it's applicable every time where you can ask yourself, okay, I've got many orders that follow a specific process. How do I do the sequencing? How do I do a proper batch consolidation, particularly in procurement? How do I do resource allocation, scheduling, buffer sizing in those areas over there? We're in booth H17. Thank you for your attention. If there's any questions, I think I've got 30 seconds left.
I have some questions. And okay. I'm sorry, Adrian, not to inform you that the 7 minutes are just we have enough time for the questions.
Okay.
Therefore, and there are two questions. First one is supplementary to process AI. Does Inform also help companies to include AI into their products?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, we do. There is companies out there, for example, predictive maintenance, which is for some companies quite important. And what we do is we empower those companies to use AI to optimize their predictive maintenance and do predictions when to exchange, for example, certain tools in their machines, particularly machine building engineering companies.
Yeah, and the next question, could you give us an impression about the difference between manual and automatic masking in terms of productivity?
What do you mean by masking?
I have no idea.
Well, that's some sort of...
Maybe anybody...
Who sent that question?
Yeah, exactly, that would be my
Okay,
question.
any other question out there?
Well, maybe you can go to the booth and talk directly to Adrian, and then it's much easier to answer that question, I
please.
think. Okay, thank you, Adrian.
Yep.